This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Yesterday was Prince George's birthday, and out of all the chaos that has been going on recently, it was so nice to see this beautiful photo taken by Princess Catherine for George's 11th birthday. No doubt that George is becoming the next teen heartthrob. Now, of course, this photo was seen all around the world and made global headlines. And you know who loves to take advantage of that? Meghan and Harry, of course. I mean, it's no shocker seeing this mental patient running around outside the asylum cosplaying Diana again, and we'll talk about this parking lot pap walk in a second. But for Harry, I think this was a first in trying to capitalize on the global recognition that the royal family gets. It surprised me because Invictus went ahead and announced the winner for the host city in 2027 yesterday when they specifically said that the announcement was going to come at the end of the month. We're not at the end of the month. I speculate that it's Harry's team who manages the social media for Invictus games, as there were times where Invictus was being a little bit petty and blocking people because they didn't like the comments. I think there's something more to this announcement and post. Let me explain. I'll be honest, I was very shocked to see the news that they chose Birmingham for the 2027 games. I really did think that this was going to go to Washington, D.C. because of the things that I have outlined in the past. But after thinking about it and factoring in all the things that we have been seeing happen over the last several weeks, it now makes sense why this place was chosen. And this is me just speculating. There were so many things that were wrong about this DC announcement when it was made. One, nobody knew that DC was competing, and two, it didn't appear that DC even submitted a competitive bid. Also, there was no evidence that there was funding guaranteed for the Washington, D.C. games, but there was £26 million earmarked and set aside for Birmingham. Also, factor in the Pat Tillman Award backlash, as well as the possibility that American taxpayers were going to have to fund part of this when we have our own games called the Warrior Games. Wasn't going to go over too well, and I think the foundation recognized that. I also think this was a strategic move to keep Meghan out. We all know Meghan is not going to ever go back to the UK, and possibly this was a way of keeping her out. With all the divorce rumors that are flying around, and most recently, Harry thinking about spending a month in the UK, could this be an indicator that Harry has full intention on going back, and this is why the UK was chosen? Because I don't see Harry staying here for long, especially if the political climate changes. And I think the DC bid was all Meghan. Now, this is just my opinion, but I don't think Harry's going to be in the United States for much longer. We have his visa situation still outstanding, and being that it's taken so long, gives me a reason to believe that there is something more going on. And our government is taking a little peek as to what that might be. Now, we know that they have been running this Fugazi public charity and, quite frankly, have money being moved here and there. So who knows what these two have been up to? But I would like to believe that there's still someone good in our government that is looking into all the nefarious and shady things that this couple have been up to. Which brings me back to this calculating, scheming hussy, Meghan Markle. Now, again, I reiterate, these are all just my opinions, but I do believe that this little parking lot PR stunt that Meghan did was to trigger Harry, not so much to steal the spotlight away from George, because she barely made a dent around the world with these stupid photos. I do believe that Harry and Meghan are separated, and what we are seeing for the cameras is a front. And perhaps maybe this is just now a business relationship. But what Meghan has done here with her psychological manipulation is to reach that subconscious level of Harry in seeing Meghan as like his mother. And I think it's so sick that she does this, but I do believe that she does it in retaliation. With this recent decision of the Invictus Games going to Birmingham, no doubt she must be infuriated because it was not chosen to be put on her own home turf, a turf where she could see herself hobnobbing with these political elites, a group of people that she is desperately trying trying to get herself into. Which now brings us to this cozy lunch that Meghan had with Kimberly Williams Paisley, who is the wife of country singer Brad Paisley. Now, after watching this woman for the last couple of years and observing her past behavior, I've come to the realization that this woman is an obsessive stalker. Now, apparently, Meghan Markle and Kimberly got together for a cozy lunch to talk about philanthropy and their foundations. Let me tell you something. Meghan doesn't give a shit about food insecurity and supporting and helping the Paisley Foundation. Perhaps maybe they might partner, but Meghan doesn't care. Ultimately, Meghan cares about Brad Paisley's relationship with the White House. In fact, so close that just 2 months ago, Brad and his wife were invited to the Kenya State dinner at the White House. Now, don't you think that Meghan reads Vogue and saw these photos? Of course, she said, well, who can I reach out to get cozy with? Meghan would kill to go to a White House state dinner, not only to be surrounded by these evil and corrupted people, but also for her, it would represent her royal state dinner, since she never got to go to one. I fully believe that Meghan saw Kimberly as an easy target to prey on and used the excuse that since they're both Northwestern alumni, that maybe they should get together since they have so much in common, like philanthropy and being humanitarians. And this is how she ended up getting her little luncheon with Kimberly. You see, the Paisleys are extremely close, not only to the Biden administration, but also to Jill Biden. And we all know that Meghan is a first lady botherer. Now, with the recent coup that the Democrats pulled on Joe Biden in essentially forcing him out to replace him with Kamala Harris, I'm not so sure that this relationship will be so valuable to Meghan anymore. It really doesn't matter because Meghan has her tentacles everywhere, particularly with Kamala's husband. If I were you, Kamala, I would watch out. I would not put your husband anywhere near this vulture. You see, the second gentleman, or Kamala's husband, is very much connected to Meghan's circle of friends, seen here with her lawyer, Rick Geno, and her business manager, Andrew Myers. And here we go, right on cue, the media now coming out with Meghan planning to endorse Kamala Harris, as if Meghan has some type of political role here or her opinion actually matters. But Kinsey Schofield making the rounds by saying that she wants to be involved in this year's U.S. presidential election, like, duh, we knew that. Meghan will insert herself anywhere to make sure that she is the focus, and the elections clearly will be on everyone's mind. So obviously, Meghan is going to do everything she can to ride the coattails there to remain relevant, right? Anyway, it's being reported that she's keen to publicly endorse the vice president in the next couple of days, so we'll look out for that. And Kinsey believes that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry could prove influential in swaying voters ahead of Harris' showdown. Well, I think she's going to help sway them to vote for Donald Trump because Meghan represents everything that's wrong with this country. So why would you vote for Kamala if you have someone like Meghan who is siding with the policies and the Marxist takeover of this country? No, I think this is going to wake more people up. And as I said in a previous video, this will be the kiss of death. You notice Biden's no longer in the picture the moment her name was mentioned. And I think the same thing is going to happen here. If Meghan even touches this campaign, I think it will be over for Kamala. Just my opinion, based off of what we have seen happen in the past with everything Meghan touches. So, you know what, Meghan, go ahead and touch this campaign. Go ahead and endorse it because you're only going to push Donald Trump to win. It's no secret that Kamala has been supportive of Meghan in the past. Just so everybody is aware, Kamala used the same tactics that Meghan and Harry used to suppress voices with the social media companies. In this case, leading up to the 2020 election, there was a lot of pressure that was put on the social media companies to censor conservative voices. Sound familiar? Before anyone knew who Christopher Bouzy was, he was doing work for Kamala Harris. He's even acknowledged that he has done analysis for the vice president. So here, seen in 2018, Christopher Bouzy is showing everyone how Kamala is being attacked by all these bots and trolls that are so racist. Then in 2022, even though Christopher Bouzy denies it, He was asked to create one of his special Fugazi reports on the single-purpose hate accounts against Kamala Harris and the so-called problematic tweets, the same package that Meghan must have paid for her report. That package also included Ian Sexton and all his bots, as well as the Sussex Squad, to go ahead and amplify this Fugazi report online so it would bubble up to outlets like CBS to go ahead and report on it. These people are all a part of the same destructive force. I mean, look at their own party. Look what they did to the current sitting president. And now we have, again, these radical leftist lunatics gearing up again to do what they did back in 2020, which was to dox, harass, threaten. I mean, here we are with the squatties. Those of us in the U.S. are on double duty now, so stay ready. This is all to defend cackling Kamala. These are the same people who like to gaslight, including Boozy, are responsible for the George Floyd riots and getting people all riled up online, Antifa, BLM, all part of the same filth that has divided and destroyed this country over the last 3 years. So here we have Christopher Boozy teeing up to start attacking people in the similar fashion that he did in 2020 leading up to that election, as well as with Meghan Markle. We know what that feels like and have seen it firsthand. I think the positive is knowing that Christopher Boozy no longer has those contacts internally at Twitter, now known as X, to be able to get people deplatformed and silenced. So it's going to be tough on that end, but with platforms like YouTube and Facebook, we're going to continue to keep seeing this type of censorship, and we should expect it to get worse the closer we get to the election. We truly are living in some unprecedented times. This is not about Democrats versus Republicans. This is about us versus them. And what I mean by us, it's the middle class, the people that built America. This is what these folks in the Demon Rat Party want to take down and break away. Kamala Harris is a big fan of equity. Equity meaning making everybody the same. And if history tells us anything, that only leads us to poverty.
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so
women.
Absolutely. And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities.
So you understand what she's saying here. Aid for floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes should be distributed based on race and gender for the sake of equity. Do you see the logic with these people?
Right?
This woman, no doubt, is another Meghan Markle. Do we want this for the next 4 years? No, I don't think so. Hear me out on my last point. These demon rats that are in power don't care about a fair election. They don't care about what's best for the Americans. All they care about is maintaining and keeping this grift to steal the wealth from the American people. That's why you have people like Meghan Markle who support this garbage. It's because they are riding off the backs of the taxpayers to get rich. In this situation here, if Kamala gets into office, I'm telling you, America will be over. What is being pushed and carried out on this Agenda 2030 has been so destructive, it's only going to get worse. The case of Kamala Harris is very similar to the case of Meghan Markle, where both these women got to where they are, not as a result of their merit, but as a result of who they slept with. And that is a fact. Neither of these two are particularly special in any way. Both of them have demonstrated a gross incompetence in doing their job, and then on top of it, have been given opportunity where they didn't earn or deserve it. This is where we are in America. This is what is reflecting in our society. And this is why, if we continue with another 4 years, we're going to see more of this with the indoctrination of our children, because that's exactly who they're going after. Let me leave you with this from Michael Schellenberger. Even though he's talking about Kamala Harris, you could easily think that he was talking about Meghan Markle.
Democrats who have supported Harris her whole career appear to think that her being half black and a woman made her a unique and gifted politician. Yet Harris is the opposite of unique. She rose to the top by conforming, not standing out. Throughout her political career, Harris hewed to what Democratic interest groups and the political consultants who serve them demanded from her. She inherited the political machine created by her former boyfriend, Willie Brown. Harris has largely avoided facing substantial competition, and the one time she did, in 2020, voters resoundingly rejected her. Despite this rejection, Harris was handed a position as vice president in what was widely perceived as a strategic move by Biden to put a black woman on the ticket. Holding Harris to low standards reflected Democrats' soft bigotry and patronizing attitude towards minorities. Because the party has essentially coddled Harris, she has not been forced to grow as a leader in ways she might otherwise have. That Harris is now consolidating support as Democrats' best hope of defeating Trump points to a major legitimacy crisis for the party, as well as for the media and the federal bureaucracies that are heavily aligned with it. It was only possible for such an unpopular candidate to gain the party's support because since 2016, Democrats and the mainstream media have gone to extreme lengths to subvert democracy in order to target Trump. Those lengths have included the Russia collusion disinformation campaign, mass censorship of political speech, attempts to criminalize political opposition, and an effort to prevent Trump from running for office again. All these activities have eroded the legitimacy of the state, the media, and the party. Their legitimacy depends on public confidence. This confidence diminishes when these institutions are so transparently undermining civil rights, failing to meet citizens' needs, and operating without integrity. The war on democracy led by Democrats, the press, and the deep state has in this way ultimately helped Trump gain support. At the same time, it's left Democrats without good options to defeat him. By favoring woke racialist politics over a substantive political platform, and by selecting nominees in an anti-democratic process for 3 presidential elections in a row, Democrats have been left with an extremely weak candidate.
Did you vote? Are you gonna vote? Oh, will you ask people that you know to vote, please? And will you ask them to vote for me? Thank you.
I was such a fraud.